Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Social Studies, and we are back to studying Judaism. We started on Tuesday with tons of information. Thank you for being so patient and sitting through all of that information and history and beliefs of Judaism. Today, we're continuing on with that idea about Judaism, learning about the Jews and in connection with modern day information with the Holocaust. So, first of all, let's just do a quick review of what we learned about on Tuesday. So, if we go to our notes and you have these in front of you, we studied on Tuesday that there are about 13 million Jews in the world currently. We studied that they live primarily in Israel, but they are throughout the world. We were going to look at the map in a minute of Israel and exactly where that's located. And we also learned it's been a religion that's at least 3,000 years old, really closer to about 3,500 years old. Judaism is monotheistic. That means it has one God, and they call their God Yahweh. This is the same God that Christians and Islams believe in, but they use a different name. The founders of the religion are Abraham, who received a message from God, and God said, Abraham, take your people to Canaan and go there, and that is your promised land. And Abraham did that. And then there's a famine. So then the people that were in that area, Abraham's descendants, went over and headed west to Egypt. And they went to Egypt, but they became enslaved by the Egyptians. And then a man named Moses, the other very important figure in Judaism, he freed the Jews from slavery, from the Egyptian slavery. We talked about the plagues briefly. I'm not going to get into that detail, but then Moses leads them back over to the Sinai Peninsula and then back into the region of the original spot where Abraham was told to go by God. Then we also learn that the Torah is the Jews' sacred scripture. That is where they get their most important teachings and beliefs. And they worship in a place called a synagogue, which this broke up I showed you on Tuesday, but it's all one word, synagogue. A rabbi is an important person in the Jewish faith. He knows a lot about the Torah and about the beliefs of the Jewish people. And there are two branches, Orthodox and Reformed, which we're not getting into, but just note that there are branches. The basic beliefs summarized in one teeny tiny column, which is insane, right? There is a belief in one God, monotheistic. There is a covenant or an agreement or a pact or a promise between the people and God and their individual pacts and promises. Jews believe in living a moral life as is outlined in the Torah and by following the Ten Commandments that we saw in Hip Hughes. One of the symbols for Judaism is the Star of David. And that is the briefest summary I can give on Judaism. But going to the map, let's just take a look. You guys looked at this. Oh, let's see. You guys looked at this in your question today. And so just throwing these up here, I just want you to see this is a little bit bigger pullout of the world. And we can see these modern day countries, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and that Israel is just this little piece. And if we zoom in, we can see it right here. And we see that it's not all one solid piece. But Israel has a very deep history. And we heard Hip Hughes list all of the different invasions that when Moses led the people back and they became settled back in this promised area right in here, they were invaded many times by the Syrians, by the Babylonians, by the Persians, by the Romans. And so through time, this area has been invaded over and over again, and the Jews pushed out, and the Jews having to go to other places. And we know that even though the Persian king Cyrus, he allowed them to keep their faith, they still were not all in one spot, all as one nation as the Jews. And that continues through time. And this brings us to World War II and the Holocaust. And so we are not getting into the details of any of that, but what I want you to know and take away is that you typically in sixth grade would have done a lesson with Mr. Troutner and Mr. Osborne about the Holocaust. And with COVID-19, you did not get that lesson. And so, although we're not doing a lesson on the Holocaust, we are just mentioning it here because it's very important with the Jewish history. With World War II and a man named Hitler who was leading Germany, Hitler wanted to get rid of, eradicate all Jews. He did not think that they were superior. He thought the Aryan race was superior, and he wanted to eliminate all other groups of people, including people with disabilities or that he didn't think looked appropriate. And the Jews had a belief system that he was not in agreement with, and he thought they should be eliminated. And he started doing that. And he made a systematic effort through time. You will study this eventually. There's a long list of things that he does that starts a little bit small, bigger, bigger, bigger. And he gets this, I don't even know how to describe it. He gets this train going of terrible things, and he ends up exterminating 6 million Jews through various methods. And when I say he, I'm speaking of Hitler, but Hitler had people helping him do this, of course, right? Which is the other part of this whole story, is how does a man become capable of getting other people to murder 6 million people because of their beliefs or because of how they look or because of how they don't look. And that's a lesson for another time, but something certainly to ponder as we get older and we start to learn and study more things. But the Holocaust was a time of sorrow and sadness and persecution of people, as we can tell by the number of 6 million people during World War II. After World War II, there's an agreement made, and the Jewish people are given Israel, the country of Israel, and they're given this property. And that does stir up controversies because there were already people there, and so there were controversies with that, and we're not getting to that either. But suffice it to say, there were controversies. And although I'm filming this before you're watching it, of course, right now as I'm talking to you about this, there is conflict between the Israel people in Israel and Gaza Strip. And so we're not getting to that either, but those tensions between those people and in this piece of land still exist. The Gaza Strip is down here. It's this little piece right here, and this is Israel, but this is definitely, and this is another and this is Jerusalem right here. And all three of the monotheistic religions have ties to Jerusalem and think that Jerusalem is a very important holy city. And so Jerusalem holds strong ties to all three monotheistic religions, which start off with the same belief about Abraham, but then they go into some different directions and some different beliefs. But Jerusalem holds holy for all three of them. So you can imagine that brings up some conflicts about who wants to be there and who thinks what should be there, and it gets complicated. Back to the Holocaust. Hitler was responsible for allowing these actions to happen, for encouraging them, for organizing them. And this video that we're going to watch today is something that Mr. Troutner and Mr. Osborne suggested that I show. It is a sad yet uplifting video at the very same time. It's at the very beginning of the Holocaust, and things are just starting to get worse and worse for the Jews. They're starting to put Jews into special groups within cities where they can only be in certain spots. Their businesses are starting to be targeted, ransacked, burned, stuff taken out. This is just beginning, this part of in time. And with that, there's a story of these soccer players, and I won't give it away, but I'd like you to think about how do these soccer players actually give hope, faith, joy by their actions? How are they able to make the bleakest of situations and the scariest of situations a little bit filled with hope? And so I want you to analyze that and thinking about how much power people have, even in the darkest of circumstances, and interestingly, how a sport would be able to help with that. We just got done with the Olympics, and we just got done with during our celebration, and thinking about how maybe sports plays an influence in different countries and different people's lives. And in this case, how it helped with the people of the Holocaust. So you're going to watch that video. Teachers, if you don't mind, please just play in the link. It plays better than doing it through Screencastify. And then have a discussion after about how FC Start gives people hope. That's the soccer team. Again, I'm not going to preview the movie much for you besides you watching it. They go through it really nicely in the movie. And then I would like you to please correct your work from Wednesday. What I'll do is provide you a link with the answers, and I'm going to count on you to find a partner or your podmate and go ahead and please correct your work for your assignment on Wednesday, making sure that you have all of the necessary corrections if you have any, and just reviewing your answers so you can get more of those facts and information in your brain from for Judaism. Okay, boys and girls, again, it is really difficult to summarize an entire religion thousands of years old in a couple days, but I hope you've had the chance to, with your chart and with reading through the chapter and with watching this little video clips, the 2 video clips, to get a little bit of an idea and a summary about Judaism. If you have any comments or you want to add anything to our discussion, please feel free to email Mrs. Berry or myself, and we'd be happy to listen to your stories or meet with you and discuss this further. Okay, boys and girls, sit back and watch this video and just really take in the strength of the human spirit, even in the darkest of times. Thank you and have a great day.